It's a surreal feeling to hold a new life in your hands. To hold something so naive and full of energy. Something with such an affinity to see and experience the world. It's truly a special moment. During my independent trimester, I was given the opportunity to visit a research station in Costa Rica and work with sea turtles. During the trip, I was able to interact with them directly, and holding them, you are filled with a feeling of awe, and at least for me, a desire to protect them. But as I went to release these sweet babies into the ocean, I was told a staggering statistic. 1 in every 1,000 sea turtles will make it to adulthood. That is a tiny percentage, and sadly, it's dwindling lower as humans continue to impact the ocean's ecosystems. During my trip, I was introduced firsthand to the problems sea turtle populations are facing. This experience in my research pushed me to dive deeper into sea turtle mortality rates. And what I found, sadly, wasn't surprising. Human impact is the primary reason for the demise of sea turtle populations. As humans continue to lead a life of convenience, sea turtles will be pushed into extinction. To solve this problem, it is necessary to address the central aspects furthering the annihilation of these populations, which are changes in the marine environment due to climate change, excessive plastic waste, and light pollution. Although, during my trip, the issue of plastic became a more significant focus for me than light pollution or climate change, as I was cleaning it from what should have been pristine beaches. And I was staring into the eyes of an animal that I had helped safely bring into the world to only let it out into a vast ocean, where the chances of it dying from plastic ingestion were almost inevitable. Through this connection, the issue of plastic resonated with me, and I hope it does with you too. Plastic on its own may not seem like a very intimidating material, but when it's introduced into the ocean, it will become deadly. 80% of the ocean plastic debris comes from land. It washes out from polluted beaches, bustling streets, highways. It cascades through musty storm drains and files out of landfills, only to be eaten by a hungry sea turtle. While this debris may be something you recognize, like a bottle or a balloon, and it may not seem alarming, to the animals who ingest it, it will become fatal. With 12.7 million metric tons of plastic in the ocean, sea turtle populations are encountering a substantial threat that, if not controlled, will lead to their demise. Finding a solution for the plastic epidemic facing the oceans is daunting. The problem feels large, and finding a place to start may seem impossible. The problem also feels hard. Hard to find the motivation, hard to change a lifestyle, and hard to not see very much change in the world through your action. During my 3 weeks in Costa Rica, I had a realization. In order to create an incentive to solve these intimidating problems, we need to establish an emotional connection with something that's being affected by them. By creating an emotional connection to these animals, people are more motivated to implement conservational efforts within their own lives. Instances of this have been shown through zoos and aquariums, which have been proven to provide unique opportunities to impact how humans will interact with wildlife, and in turn, conservation. According to Jeffrey Skimmons, zoos and aquariums create the ability to enter exotic ecosystems and encounter wildlife face-to-face, which is a not only proven method for developing connections, but also a necessary one. They also provide the convenience to have unique encounters with animals on a regular basis, further pushing conservation into the minds of society. For me, baby sea turtles at OSA Conservation became a pivotal call to action. Through my interactions with these turtles, I formed a connection that pushed me towards lifestyle changes that I may have never considered. That relationship pushed a sense of awareness that gave me a deeper understanding of how human ecology and the relationship between humans and animals and their natural habitats, and how we could all live harmoniously together, which is a central part of the Sage Goals mission. By establishing this connection with sea turtles, I was pushed to reevaluate my perspective on plastic waste. I now try to use less plastic in my day-to-day life. I'll bring a reusable bag to Atkinson's, and I won't use plastic straws. While it may be difficult to remember these small things at first, they're easy. And while you may not seem like you're making a difference, you are. This relationship helped me create a motivation with my own life. But I believe that by building these connections, people will be more persuaded to change aspects of their own lives in order to benefit this bond. Now, I have put up some of Ocean Conservation's handles. They are a nonprofit that takes donations and would love anything you could possibly give, because they're doing amazing work with rehabilitation of sea turtles, with plastic waste and educational seminars. And before I continue, I would like to share a short compilation of interviews and some of the amazing experiences I had in Costa Rica with a short video. I hope you enjoy. I grew up in a landlocked state, so until now, really, sea turtles haven't played a huge part in my life, but I decided I wanted to study them because I've just always felt like I had a connection to the ocean, and I decided to come to Costa Rica because I heard about this program, and they sounded like they were doing a really amazing things, and they are, and during this time I've gotten to release little babies, which has been amazing, and yeah, it's just really solidified my love for animals, and I think my love for sea turtles and just all marine creatures. It's just an amazing experience to pick up a life and just let it go out in the world. It's pretty amazing.
For me, it has to do with just exposure to nature. I think it's hard to be outside and see amazing animals and not care and not be completely engaged with them and sort of fascinated by them. And I think there's a lot to be said about just enjoying your time outside and seeing cool things that catch your eye, and you start to really invest yourself in their cause. And also, I think some of the promotional photography and essays that have been written to show the plight of animals out there can be pretty compelling for some people and draw them into action.
I think, humans evolved as being part of nature. We are more divorced from nature now than we ever have been, but yet I still think it's in our DNA that we are part of the ecosystem. We always try to control nature, but I think as we get a greater appreciation and realization for the importance of nature, I think we also realize the value that nature has for humanity.
I think animals provide a much needed mirror for humans. So I think that's something we don't have very much in terms of from human to human, or enough contrast in terms of a mirror. And they humble humans. They force us to think outside of our own existence, which we don't often enough. And I think in doing so, make us aware that, okay, well, how are we impacting the environment, and what does that mean for another being? And I think quite often we can think of as humans as being superior, but at the end of the day, we're just another animal.
During my time at OSA, I was a general volunteer, and my days varied. Some mornings I would patrol beaches and record sea turtle activities. Some I would monitor bird boxes, test stream health, or work at the OSA Conservation Sustainable Farm. Although I have to admit, my favorite job was working with the baby sea turtles, despite the 4:30 a.m. wake-up call. These activities, while sometimes causing me sleep deprivation, created an emotional connection within me that fostered the motivation to take steps to stop using unnecessary plastic with my own life. And it solidified the idea that a connection to animals can help inspire humans to be better stewards of the planet. And lastly, I would like to thank my teachers, my friends, and my family for helping me through this opportunity and giving me the opportunity to visit such an amazing place. And I would also like to thank OSA Conservation for helping me with this independent trimester and inspiring me in so many different ways. Also, lastly, I would like you all to please consider using less plastic waste in your life. I promise it's not as hard as it seems. It's way easier than it looks, and you'll be saving baby sea turtles. So, yeah, thank you. Questions? 3 questions. Gosh, it's hard to see. Okay, you.
Why did you have to move the nesting site?
Yeah, so they tried to keep as many natural nests that were laid as they wouldn't want to disturb it as much as possible, but some of the areas of the beach were some predators would come and eat the babies or eat the eggs, and sometimes poachers would come and dig out the nests. So because on the black market, 1 turtle egg is worth $1, so there's about 100 turtle eggs per clutch, and so that's $100. So they would relocate if it was in a zone where that was common of happening. Sure.
Did it affect the baby turtles if they're touched by human hands? I thought
Yeah, it's definitely recommended you wear gloves, and it won't necessarily, but sunblock on your hands could possibly affect them. We just don't know, so it's better to use gloves, and that's why you see me using gloves in that video. Sure.
you touched on climate change and light pollution as being other portions of this issue. Could you just touch on those real quick?
Yeah, totally. So light pollution is a big problem for sea turtles because some people may not know this, but turtles are attracted to the brightest horizon when they first come out of their little nest, and usually that's the ocean, but with light pollution, they'll turn around and go the opposite direction and towards cities, which people pick them up, they'll get run over, a lot of deaths, and sometimes the moms will come up and they'll get really distracted and not want to lay a nest on that beach just because they're so, what's happening? Because all the lights are really distracting to them. And in terms of climate change, there's a whole lot of problems. There's beach erosion, there's less room for turtles to go lay eggs because sea levels are rising. Temperatures are causing sea turtles don't do well with warmer temperatures, and that's an issue, as well as, I don't know, it's just a huge problem for, I think, all of us and sea turtles and like all marine animals. And if we keep continuing to let this issue not resolve it, it will probably lead to the extinction of a lot of animals and probably us in the future. Thank you.